Hello, everybody. Elizabeth Johnston here, your story and creativity coach. And I'm delighted today to be talking to Pascale Dube. She's a parent lead coach. And we're here today to talk about the importance of story in your business. But before we dive into that, Pascale, welcome.
Hello.
And tell us more about what you do and who you serve.
Basically, I'm a communication coach for parents, and the people I serve are parents who have a hard time communicating with their teenagers. So I help them out. I help them connect better and develop better communication skills in order to basically put the basics of the dream relationship they want with their kids moving forward.
Very interesting. And do you think that part of the difficulties in communicating with your teen has something to do with the fact that their brain isn't fully developed yet?
Yeah, that's part of it, but it's also the fact that sometimes parents cannot let go of the fact that their kid is growing up. So there's kind of a grief process that they have to go through. And the teenagers, of course, try to detach from their parents. So that can lead to a lot of friction because their world is basically opening up. And sometimes parents have a hard time, processing what's going on. And teenagers too, they're going through so many things at the same time. Their brain is developing. Of course, their hormones are just running wild and their social circle is expanding. And they're trying to experience new things and to grow up. So it's the job of the parent to guide them through that process, but also make sure that they are accountable for their choices, but that they understand the consequences of their choices. And if communications is not very good between them, it's harder to help them through the process of growing up.
Yeah. Wow. Sounds awesome what you do. Okay. So when was it that you realized for your own business that story was missing and that you really had to do something about it? What was that pivotal moment?
I even have to go even further back than that because as you remember, I did your retreat. I think it was in February. I was kind of wandering, kind of aimlessly. I had a business that I was supposed to coach, and I did, but I was aiming my business at business owners and helping them with their communications with their teams. And I was going basically nowhere with that market because of COVID. Of course, that didn't help. But I was also wondering if that was the right audience for me. And doing your retreat kind of helped me looking back on my own life and looking back on my experience, my values, reassessing also the whole process of, who do I want to serve? And if I serve anybody, which would be the bigger impact in the world? And of course, we know that mental health is a big issue now that COVID has hit and now is recessing, but there's still mental issues and families have found it hard. And it was during the course of your retreat, your writing retreat, that the people that were there and you, of course, who was holding the space to share our stories, that really opened my eyes to this audience that I loved, that I had fun with, and that I wanted to really make an impact in their lives. So that was the first key. And the second key was, I know what teenagers go through, but I really think that I have both sides now that I'm over 40 and that I've got friends that have teenagers right now. And I can see both sides of the story. Wink, wink. And so basically, it's really important for me to share what my experience was growing up as a teenager, because that's very at the basis of who I am now. And it's also part of the process as a coach, because you have to really, really be able to translate teachings or provide advice in a way that people can relate to. And nobody's story is the same. But ultimately, everyone's their own hero going through life. And if you can make it understandable and also relatable for the people that you're serving, the power it has and the tremendous energy it brings to a conversation with a client is it's so much more important than just having a bullet point. I mean, you're sharing about yourself.
Yes.
And that's what people trust. People trust people. And when they understand a bit more about where you've gone, what you've been through, it really gives them a perspective of, okay, I understand that person. I was that person at some point, or I understand that this person understands me, because the story that she's telling or the examples that she's providing, I experience daily. So story is really fundamental, I think, for any relationship in any kind of circle. But for a service provider like I am, it's even more important, because you are the product you're selling, basically.
Mm. Yeah. And I love the way that you explain that, because stories are not only important in what you do and how you help people in your practice and in your coaching service, coaching systems, is it's also really helpful for you personally to clarify who you wanted to serve and connect to your center of joy. Because I think we all know that we can do lots of things. We can do lots of jobs, but not all of them give us the level of joy that we hope to have in our jobs. And so, can you elaborate a little bit more about that?
Yes, that's funny, because let me tell you a bit of my story. I have a lot of experiences professionally. I've moved industry quite a bit. And I also did my MBA a few years back, because I was trying to find skills and things that I didn't know that would help me be an entrepreneur, be more independent, and the business acumen was important in order to get there. And I think that's what influenced me to try and serve business owners in their business, because I was formatted in an MBA setting, if you want. But that really wasn't me. Even studying at the MBA, what my great strength was relationship with the people I was studying with. So even back then, it wasn't natural for me to go towards business. I've been a people person for as long as I can remember. And so, and that brought a lot of joy while I was studying the MBA. That was my takeaway, wasn't the business acumen or the learnings that I got. It was the relationship I built when I was studying. So when I went into your retreat, I had no priors. I didn't have any things that I wanted to achieve with this. So it was more curious. And for people who want to build a business, even starting with the story might be the best way to figure out where you want to go. Because you may have an idea, but if you don't know what the fuel will be moving forward, and the story really is what gives you gas, I think, because you understand yourself way better than if you never look at it. And I just had to tweak it. I mean, showing leadership to business owners, or showing leadership and teaching leadership skills to parents, is basically, the things are the same, but the audience isn't, and the results aren't the same. Emotionally, there is a lot more weight in helping families than helping businesses in the end. And that's what really speaks to me.
That's really what lights you up, because you're using those same skills, like you say, but you're just serving an audience or a group of people that really feed into your soul and your purpose, and really get you excited to wake up in the morning and help more people. And I think that's so important, because most of us do have inside of us this idea that we were put on earth for some purpose. And, whether it's a grand purpose or, a medium-sized purpose or whatever, like if it's a local or if it's a global one or a universal one, it's different for everybody, but it's important to honor that inside of us. And that's what I love too about story, is that once we really get clarity on it, we can see, oh, this is what I really want to do. And if you are as an entrepreneur, if you figure that out before you start a business and you're 2 or 5 years into it and realize like, ooh, I don't like this.
I know.
So it really cuts the learning curve quite dramatically once you can start with story and then build on that story. So I really love how you frame that. So we're just about wrapping up. Do you have any other words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us before we finish up?
I'm gonna plug you because you're an amazing story coach. Because you don't just show us like how it's working and what the what the frame is. You really hold the space, and you trust us to find our own way in our own head and our own emotions. I remember that the people I did the retreat with and the people that I did the class lately with were very, very heart-centered. We're emotional people, but we feel safe to share those stories, and we feel safe to, I remember I had a cry out in your retreat. Like the first day I was crying my eyes out, which I never do in front of strangers, but it's because I felt safe doing it. And, we all have our own little traumas that we carry with us, but you're amazing, Elizabeth. So if anybody's on the fence, just reach out to Elizabeth and just enroll people. It's going to change your life. And it's therapy at a small price.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your kind words. And one last thing, though, you have some really awesome courses that you're going to be giving on Dr. L's platform. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the details are still to be worked on, but I will give 6 classes, one every week, every Wednesday, starting September 22nd. It's on the Amazing Parent Network of Dr. L. I don't have like the URL ready at the tip of my finger, but it's for subscribers of the Dr. L network, and I strongly encourage you to take my classes to learn a bit more about communication skills and what it can do basically for you and your family. Even though you don't have big tensions with your teenagers, prevention is key. So if you can learn new things, do it.
Awesome. That's so great. Thank you so much for sharing a bit of your morning here with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for having me, and good luck.
Thank you. You too.